Hey everybody, Breakthrough Health and Life Coach Glenn Hattem here. I'm here with my coach Tom Terwilleger.
Hey guys.
We have a little bit of delay on our thing here. In any case, Tom and I just had a really great session. We're at the end of my 13-week my 90-day Amplify Your Life program. We've gone through pretty huge metamorphosis on a variety of things, some not so obvious in physical appearance, but on the inside and a lot of what goes on between the ears. There's a new conversation that we're in and that I'm in. And it's just been a really potent period of time for me and been a beautiful thing to have a coach. It's in my corner. I refer to Tom as he's my Castamato, who's like, "You're the greatest." And like, yeah, I'm the greatest. And there's something really beautiful and special about that. And I'm so appreciative of that. And from having that throughout the course of these 13 weeks, I've been able to accomplish a lot of my goals, a lot of my objectives. And some things take longer than they did when I was younger. But some things are built better now. So a more solid foundation. And I think our conversation today that we just had was around the work we've done, the progress we've made, and then what's going on next, getting an idea of what to not just get excited about, but the hard work that's ahead next. To go to the next level, there's work involved. There's always work involved. And I thought it'd just be great to maybe just invite in a little bit and share a little bit about our intimate conversation around the work we've been doing, because we started off probably just like I am with when clients come in the door and they're like, "I'm going to be your best client you've ever worked with, and here's my mess, and here's where I'm at here," and then I've stepped back at times and scratched my head, going like, "Oh man, we've got a project here." And I'm sure you felt that with me of like, okay, here's the things he said he wants. Here's the things I think he needs. And if we're lucky, we'll even get into this stuff. So.
Right. Well, I will say this, that you're absolutely right. And you came into this thing and we already had a history and a background. So I know I know your process to a degree. I know where you've been. I was catching up on what you've been through these last few years or so, and how that's manifested into something that you're really not that thrilled with. And as now is saying, "Hey, I made a decision. That's going to change. I need to move forward as the new Glenn Hattem, and or more or less the older Glenn Hattem from past experiences that were prior to what made those changes, the not so positive changes in your life over the last couple of years or so, the struggles, you might say." So yeah, I knew that this was going to be a project. I knew it was going to be a challenge, but I also knew that you've got what it takes. The interesting thing about all this is, and again, we talk about over the course of 90 days or so, the last 13 weeks, and this is something for everyone to keep in mind, that as soon as you start to unravel the challenges, unravel what I like to call the crusty truth, because there's a truth that we all live, that Glenn's been living for the last few years or so, that he didn't really recognize. We don't recognize it as something other than the truth. It's like, well, this is how it is. This is who I am. But really it's just mud and clay packed on top of who we really are. The core truth of who we are is way, way hidden below that. So when you go through a process of like a first 90-day transformation, whatever it might be in terms of goals, objectives, business, relationship, in your body, the first steps in those processes, peeling away, chipping away, you might say, some of that crusty truth, right? And what's interesting about that things change. It's like, oh, okay, here's what we wanted to be in 90 days. But really what we've done is we've started to clear the debris to get to the core truth. And we're starting to get to that point now with you, Glenn. It's just like we're really starting to get to, and starting to see the questions, the concerns, the challenges that you're facing now are different than they were 90 days ago, because we're recognizing something new. We're recognizing some changes that have taken place. Right. The crusty truth is no longer blinding us from what really can be true. And the question you asked today, which was so great, and really the only person that can answer it is you, is, well, what's possible? What can we expect over the next 90 days or so? And a lot of that comes from what we're starting to see. We're starting to see something that's more the core truth. That's like, whoa, hold on. I remember I remember that experience, and this is why I behave in this way, why I think this way. But I also remember this time when I had this stature and this power and I felt confident, and it's like, okay, that's revealing. And that's the thing we want to get back to experiencing again, and the physiological changes that'll happen along the way can be powerful.
I like how you're hitting on that, because earlier we were talking about that, how, okay, you can just, there's a couple different routes to go. You can, as I was sharing earlier, there was a time I remember when I was doing this race. And in this race, I remember running down this mountain on the single track course, and I was passing everybody, and I just felt powerful. And even like, as I tell the story, I felt so powerful,
You had to do the physiology piece.
You had to do the
right.
physiology. You had to do the physiology. So for a lot of us, there's actually somewhere within us is a memory that we can remember, we could tap into and utilize. Just like you described how being on stage when you were an Olympia competitor, it's like you can, because of how much emotion and how much of your physiology, there was so much in your memory bank that you could really tap into that whenever you want to.
Yeah,
you so choose. I mean, we all have some times in our life where we felt powerful, we felt strong.
Yeah.
We felt
and felt really who we are,
who we are. That's a big part of it. So.
Yeah, that is so true, and so I think what we're referring to is what Glenn called, and we call in NLP training, is anchoring, right? And I know, Glenn, you use anchoring very effectively with your clients and help them connect one success to further successes, things we want to achieve tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. And, you referred to my, being on the Olympia stage and having won even the national championships before that. That was such a powerful moment based on months and months of preparation and discipline and sacrifice leading up to this incredible reward and feeling powerful and congruent with that. So when I think back at that, there's a memory bank of that, and it's connected to the physiology, how I felt, the posture, the strength of my body at that time. It was what was going on in my mind, the thoughts, and what I was focused on. So when I link that, when I remember back to that, and then link it to the things that I want to achieve, the things, for example, when you were in that run and you felt powerful, you were passing the competition. If you take that same state, that same physiology, the thoughts, the focus, and connect it neurologically to the goals that you want to achieve in the future. And we do that simply by putting yourself in that state, remembering that experience, what was going through your mind, what were you feeling, what was your body doing at that moment, and then shifting your thoughts to what's going to be accomplished, to the future. This is one of the reasons, by the way, future goals and objectives are so important, because it's a roadmap to a degree to connecting past success to future. So if we enter into that physiology and recapture that neural pathway, which is always going to be there, and the more we think about those past experiences, the deeper those neural pathways are, and the more we can connect them to the future successes that we want to achieve. And that's kind of where we're at now in many respects with you, buddy. And, and this is something that everyone should keep in mind, and you can use. How do we break through? How do I know? How do I know I'm going to achieve this? Simple, because you've done it in the past. And it could be something real simple. It could be the day you stood on that podium and you accepted your diploma, whether it was high school, college, your PhD, whatever it might be. It might have been the moment you got married, the moment you made a powerful decision to start your business or to have a child, whatever it is, that when you think back, man, that was a powerful moment for me. And I was in my power, and I was in my authentic self. Relive that again and again and again and again, and then link it to what you want to achieve in the future. Powerful stuff, anchoring.
Yeah. And I think my experience with the anchoring right now has led to this next piece of our conversation, which has been around forecasting the future, and getting not just excited about it, but like we're moving into a new game. The foundation's been laid, put in some really hard workouts, discipline with food again, manicuring the sleep hygiene, figuring out how to, working with your wife now on the vitality and looking at, at a cellular level up, like where, from a hormonal level, from this is living tissue, over a brilliantly designed machine that operates really well with the right fuels and the right balance of things. And it's very easy to get some wear and tear on a system. We talked
Right.
about, not looking at things from an aging process, but a maturing process of like, how can I make more mature decisions
Mm.
with what I'm aware of, about what I get away with and what I don't. But we're talking a lot today about, and you can feel me coming in of like, okay, we've done this. Now I want to level up. Who do I have to become? What's not just the stature that's conveyed, but it's time to level up. It's time to, it doesn't mean we're, like we talked about, not jumping from here. The leap is like, I'm going to go up to this new level of that's foundationally in integrity with what I'm aware of. And now it's like, now it really comes down to like fine tuning. A lot of people don't understand this, that at first there's a lot of bricklaying, but really the real results come in the little details as we go. True. The refinements, the polishing now. And, it's more, I'm sure as we move into this next phase, it's a lot of being not necessarily called out with tough love, but like, all right, here's what we're supposed to be doing. What are you doing? Why are you not doing that? What's that? What's that why that's getting in the way of that? Or
Right.
what's the why you could have that will take you all the way?
What's the and the why is, based on past experiences and what we begin to believe about ourselves. The why is all based on the crusty truth, right? It's all these things, these lies, these self-interpretations that we put out in front of people. And a lot of times we can't manifest our power and our inner strength and our authenticity because we're afraid to, man. I mean, and this experience, Glenn and I just talked about this based on past experiences and being shut down. When I was growing up, I was put into the special ed class because of dyslexia and hyperactivity and all this stuff. And so I began to believe certain things about myself that were disempowering. Had I not understood later on about those beliefs, where they came from, what they stem from, and the misinterpretation that I placed on myself that created those beliefs. And if those beliefs were still in place today, that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable, I wouldn't be accomplishing anything today. So we have to understand and recognize where those things come from, and to be able to move forward to say, hey, that's still going to show up. They never really fully get eliminated. I like to call it the dragon that sort of hides back in his little cave until all of a sudden, whoa, you're changing? You're manifesting what? Hold on a second. You're that same kid in the special ed class, remember? You can't do that. And then we have to recognize them and say, oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. I could do it.
It's amazing how that works. That self-critic that comes online and takes over for, all the bullshit conditioning you got received as a youngster, and you bought into that, and then you took over for them and brought you into the biker gang world, and it could have kept you there for a while. And then at a certain point, you're like, this ain't working for me. And you know what? I made it this far. I don't actually have to believe all that shit no more.
Nah, that's right. Yeah. And it is interesting. And maybe you've had this experience yourself, Glenn, is that in many respects, people have been known to, we're all perfectly capable of making that shift ourselves. Because, when you use that example of, I went from like to special ed kid to completely in trouble in high school and dropping out and getting my first Harley Davidson, riding with these outlaw bikers. And all of a sudden it's not working for me. Why isn't it working for me? It's still congruent with who I thought I was, right? I was this loser, 1%er in society. But sometimes what we need is somebody else to believe in us as well. Somebody else to recognize our potential. Somebody else that says, hey, you know what? You can be better than this. You're not on the right path. And when we find that someone, whether it's a mentor, a lover, a mom, a dad, someone, it can spark this. Well, for me, I had that. I certainly had it in my parents, but I wasn't listening. Who listens to their parents back in those days? But somebody else showed up in my life that said, hey, if they believe in me, then maybe there is something more. And that's when it began to no longer work. And that's the shift started to take place. It's like, okay, that's when the first steps in what we call the process of manifestation began to take place, which is the seed of curiosity. Before we're convinced this is what my lot in life is, right? It's a fixed mindset. I was given a certain number of gifts. I wasn't giving others, and this is what I'm stuck with, and this is what I got to do. I got to play the cards that I've been giving. No, you change your mindset. You start to develop curiosity about what would it be like? What if I could do that? And all of a sudden you start to deal yourself a bunch of aces that you didn't even know you had. And then somebody else believes in you along the way, and it can make all the difference in the world. I believe in you, Glenn. And I hope you feel that, and hope you understand that. And I hope we can convey that whoever else is watching this, we believe in you too, man, because you can be magnificent in your own right in every way, shape, or form. And we believe that's possible for everyone.
Yeah, being a kindred spirit with you on this path as a coach, we both go out into the world and we're there to help. People are coming in with a fixed mindset basically, and we've got to help them change that into more of a growth mindset, one that has they know it's there. I just don't know how, there's just somehow life's gotten too many sticky, crusty layers,
man.
And so, yeah, I'm just very blessed, like I said, to have you as my friend, as my coach, as there's nothing about you that's a yes man to any of my stuff. Well, and that's valuable. And in a day and age where, I wish the world was like that, where we just, people in our lives were, very, very firm on your authentic self showing up and playing all out and holding us to that.
Yeah. We do need to surround ourselves or be around people like that. You call me, what was the coach's name? You're the greatest, you're the best. You referred to, who was it?
Casamado with the
Casamado.
Yeah. And
I like to think of myself as sort of like a toned down level of Mickey, rather.
You're more like Mickey. Yeah.
Hey, Mickey, I ain't got no locker. Hey, because you're a bum.
Yeah.
You got to tone that down a little bit. But Mickey was hard. Mickey was tough. He knew it was like Rocky wasn't living up to his potential. He could have been somebody, but instead he's an arm breaker. He's a bum. You know what I mean? So you have to have someone who's, and not that you have to, we don't have to have someone, but it helps. This is one of the reasons we have coaches. Well, I've always had coaches, and I know that you have as well. You're the coachable coach, man, which is a brilliant thing to be, and to be manifesting and to show and to illustrate others that how do we manifest our magnificence? We have to have our own self-belief. We have to understand where and when that was derailed, have somebody else recognize that power, that magnificence in us, and help guide us down that path a little bit. Whether it's a friend, a colleague, a mentor, or a coach, it's almost vital in the process of making it happen.
Well, I'm on that note, on vital, I'm working on my vitality right now with your wife, and we're running this parallel stream that's going to be exciting to share that piece of the journey as well in this next chapter. There's a lot of new stuff also that I'm excited to share with everyone about my next journey. But Tom is along for the ride with me on the next round here, and the game has leveled up, and I'm excited about it. I don't think there's any fear in me now. I think it's more like, we came to do the work. Let's do the work. Let's do the effing work. Let's get it done. And you're only as great as I show up and I'm honest about things, and I communicate my vulnerable pieces of, like, this is what I'm tripped up on. This is what I'm stuck on. I can't stop doing this with myself. Because in those conversations, those crucial conversations with one another, is where I gain some insight and some freedom and see possibility. And then you role model those things so that I can anchor those things in. Yeah. So the
fascinating thing, and this as a coach as well, and this is, it's worth sharing with everyone watching or listening, is that, anytime I coach, and again, coaching, by the way, is not about giving advice. We don't give advice, right? No. We help enlighten, we help bring out, we help our coaching clients like yourself gain their own understandings and come to their own conclusions in many respects, and just kind of guide that process. But coaching, anytime, like when I work with Glenn, for example, I'm coaching myself as much. This is not about me in the moment, but it always enlightens me. It always sheds through, like, just like, holy mackerel. And the more I can relate to Glenn's experience or another client's experience, the more it's just like I relate to my own experience. And that helps me break through. And the more I can break through by helping others and helping guiding others, the more I can manifest my magnificence along the way as well, which allows me to even do greater work. And so it's a powerful process. It's coaching, man, for both.
I love that you named that. When I'm with my clients, oh my goodness, sometimes I am putting in my work. Like they're working, but I'm growing, I'm expanding, I'm riding my edges. Like if I can't give what I don't got, and I have to like dig deep sometimes.
Find it.
I like find the courage, I have to feel the tears, you know, I have to feel. I can't just, operate at Spock level, and just do the logical.
Right.
I have to be in the trenches with them, kind of shining my light around to try to understand where they're coming from and help them find the insight they're needing, have them have that light go off for them. And like, God, I'm doing this thing and I want to be able to get to here, but I'm going to have to relate to that. I'm going to have to develop a different approach, a different philosophy, different way of going about things. And I'm just holding, for a lot of times it's like holding the container. And sometimes I have to really hold back and like, I want to give them the answer and I got to hold back and let them come to the answer. It's like we're working together here. It's almost like we're both using the force. Like on my clothes and I'm like, okay, come on, do it. And I have to let them figure out and not just get the easy answer from me, but I have to like hold the space that it's coming. Do your work. I'm doing my work right now with you.
Yeah, and I love that you named it that, and you said this several times earlier, is the work, because as much as unconsciously many of us fear work, I mean, even in sales copy, for example, just we don't use the word work because it has a negative connotation. But when it comes to our own personal development, our own growth, and our ability to manifest that magnificence that we all have in us, it is work. There's no question about it. We have to be willing to get down into the trenches. We have to be willing to dig deep into ourselves. We have to be willing to be honest and be authentic and shed a tear and be discouraged and frustrated and even confused. Sometimes the more confused we are in a given moment, the more likely it is we're about to have a breakthrough. So it's work. There's no question. There's no avoiding it. And anyone who wants to avoid the work will never have that breakthrough. It's painful.
Painful. Like how many workouts would you say I was like, gosh, I wish these were more painful?
Yeah. Certainly not today. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up for us today. And we're gonna have a share probably here shortly again, kind of tying things together from this whole 13 weeks. But I think there's some good notes. I took a bunch of notes today. Hopefully others have. If there's just one person that took a few notes down today, then we're doing something right. So
I know I did.
Yeah. But, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you everybody for listening in, and hope everybody has a great rest of your day. So we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
See you soon.